Sri Satchidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai Satcharitra An Insight-Episode 113. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We have been listening about Amir Shakar's stay in Chavadi, and in Sri Sai Satcharitra, Sri Hemat Panji has also expounded on this topic in detail. We heard that Amir Shakar set his bedding on the left corner of Chavadi right at the entrance, and we are also aware that Baba also stayed in Chavadi on alternate days. So, where did Baba stay then? I think it is necessary for the devotees to understand the structure of Chavadi, as that would help them to relate to my description clearly. The present Chavadi structure has two entrances. One entrance is meant for men to have darshan, while the other is for women devotees. The Sansthan is very strict about this and never allows the men to step into the entrance meant for women and vice versa. But during Baba's period, the Chavadi had just one entrance in the middle and the building had three portions inside. And at the entrance of the left side, Amir Shakkar had kept his belongings and was lying down there. Whereas the most sacred place of the Chavadi was the southeastern corner, as Baba would stay there on alternate days, which is presently the left side of the ladies' entrance of Chavadi. In the previous episode, we listened about the surroundings of Chavadi, which was very unhygienic, and various animals and other poisonous creatures also made it as their home. This was the condition of Chavadi during Baba's period. So, Baba's sleeping spot was just behind Amir Shakkar's, and this southeast corner, as per Vastu, is represented by Venus, that is Shukra, the lord of fire. And the place where Baba would sleep was covered with 4 wooden planks. Behind Baba's sleeping spot, there was a storeroom in which Baba's ardent devotee Abdul Baba lived. So, all the three were stationed at the southeast corner of the Chavadi. And on the other side of Amir Shakkar slept the lepers, fakirs, and other deceased persons. In fact, Hemat Panji writes in Sri Sai Satcharitra that even Amir Shakkar was considered one among those afflicted people. Let us contemplate upon the message conveyed to us by Hemat Panji in this context, because Sri Sainath Maharaj wanted to annihilate the ego of Amir Shakkar. He might have made the latter to sleep next to the other group of people. Amir Shakkar could not tolerate this plight. He felt as though he was imprisoned. He could not talk about this to Baba. He was very worried. Even though Amir Shakkar had the golden opportunity to stay with the Supreme God Sai Baba, his mind was not happy to be confined inside one room. It was like a punishment for him. He desired freedom and wanted to quit this place. This is not his fault, because this is the nature of mind, as it has been created in such a way that it would always hanker on worldly objects. Because Baba had instructed that Amir Shakkar had to stay for 9 months, he could not leave without Baba's permission. Devotees might recall that in the previous episodes we have listened to various Leelas which depicted the difficulties and dangers encountered by those who had left Shiradi without taking Baba's consent. Though Amir Shakkar is cognizant of this fact, still his thoughts ran errant. He was unable to control his mind. His rheumatism was also getting cured. His sickness was not getting better because of any medication, but Baba's words treated his illness. As Amir Shakkar abided by Baba's words, he began to feel better. This gave him courage to leave Chavadi without Baba's permission. Amir Shakkar was waiting for an opportune moment. On the day Baba slept at Dwarakamai, without anyone's knowledge, at midnight he decided to go out of Chavadi. He left Chavadi and walked swiftly towards Kopargaon and reached the Dharmashala there. Dharmashala is the resting place for the pilgrims for free of cost. Devotees might recall that Shiradi has been one of the midpoints for devotees who trek on foot for their pilgrimage from the holy Kashi to Rameshwaram. Hence, there would be many resting places for the pilgrims en route to these holy shrines. Now, Amir Shakkar reached one such resting place, and there he saw a fakir who was a pilgrim and was lying there. He was extremely weak and was even unable to get up. There was no one else in the Dharmashala. The fakir was on his deathbed and felt very thirsty. The moment he saw Amir Shakkar, the farmer requested him to give him a mouthful of water. Amir felt pity and brought some water. As soon as the fakir drank the water, he died immediately. There was no one else in that place and it was night time. Amir became very tensed as the fakir died after drinking the water given by him. He feared if there would be an official enquiry in the morning to investigate about his sudden death, then people living in this vicinity would be enquired. Government will appoint an officer to probe into this matter. Amir Shakkar will be called for enquiry, and even if he would speak the truth and tell them all that had happened, will they believe him? They will try to gather some witness to this case, and the court's final verdict will solely depend upon the statement of the witness. Such kinds of fearful thoughts crowded up in his mind, and he was very distressed. Though Amir Shakkar has not committed any crime, there is no witness to prove that he was not guilty, and it is not an easy task to prove his position legally. Immediately, Amir Shakkar looked around. There was nobody in that vicinity, so none had seen him give water to the fakir. He realized his folly. Had he listened to the words of Sainath Maharaj and stayed back in Chavadi, he would not have to face these consequences. He understood that surrendering at the lotus feet of Sai Baba is the only remedy. So, leaving the corpse of the fakir in the Dharmashala, Amir Shakkar quickly began to walk towards Shiradi. He was engulfed by fear and doubts, and throughout the way he was looking backwards to see if anyone was following him or watching him. He was chanting Baba's name all throughout the way. He began to cry, "Oh, Baba, what a situation I have created for myself." He was beseeching Baba heart to heart thus, "Baba, Baba, please pardon me. have mercy upon me. I left Chavadi to find a better place to stay, and alas, I landed up in this difficulty. I have realized that all this is the fruit of my own action. Take pity on me and please help me to reach Chavadi. At last, Amir Shakkar reached Chavadi safely before dawn. Yet, his mind was very disturbed. This is one lesson that Amir Shakkar learnt by leaving Chavadi without taking Sainath's consent. From then, he never thought of going out of Chavadi. His rheumatic pains also got better and his faith on Baba increased in leaps and bounds. After narrating the above incident, Hemat Panji is continuing to talk about the protection given by Baba to Amir Shakkar from snake bite. Devotees, though Amir Shakkar was unwilling to stay at Chavadi, he is one of the most fortunate devotees of Baba because he got the blessing to sleep next to Baba on alternate days. He had the greatest privilege of observing the Chavadi procession. As soon as Baba reached Chavadi, the devotees prepared a seat called asan and made Baba sit comfortably, offered him some milk to drink, then performed the night arati and took leave from Baba. After all the devotees left Chavadi, Baba would sit and chat with Amir Shakkar. As we just heard that Amir Shakkar's bed was at the southeast entrance of the Chavadi and Baba's bed was just behind his and was covered with 4 wooden planks on all the sides, and so this wooden shutter was like a curtain between both, which never caused any disturbance for their chat. The Supreme Lord Sainath Maharaj and Amir Shakkar had a long chat during the night as both were fond of talking, says Hemat Panji. Devotees, even envisioning this scene leaves me in horripilation. So many subjects were discussed between the two. So, whatever Amir Shakkar wanted to talk to Baba, he could converse freely without anyone's interference or other disturbances. Similarly, Baba must have imparted the spiritual wisdom to Amir Shakkar to the extent required for the latter. Is not this an incredible blessing for Amir Shakkar? While devotees from all over the world are flocking towards Shirdi to have a glimpse of Baba, here Amir Shakkar was able to converse with Baba to his heart's content without any limitations every alternate day. What else can anyone wish for other than the blessing to hold such intimate discussions with the God that lived on earth? These 9 months of his stay at Chavadi must be the most blessed days of his life. His association with Baba also bestowed him the wisdom to understand the parables of Baba to a certain extent. Also, whenever Baba cried out or displayed any sign of suffering, Amir Shakkar observed that Baba's cries are only an indication that some of his devotee is in danger, and Sainath Maharaj made those noises to reveal that he was rescuing them. Baba is a supreme being, hence he need not have to endure any pain or physical suffering. But he suffered for the sake of his devotees, relieved their aches and misery by taking their pain upon himself. For Amir Shakkar, the 9 months period has not completed, and one midnight when Baba was sleeping in the Chavadi, he suddenly called out thus, "Hey Abdul, come here with a lamp. I found a ghost next to my bed." In Sri Sai Satcharitra, only in the 22nd chapter, for the first time, devotees would get to hear the name of Abdul. Among the Muslim devotees of Sri Sai Maharaj, Abdul Baba is the one about whom the greatest amount of information is available and who is also revered by many devotees of Baba. His service to Guru is unparalleled. He has also shared many fascinating miracles of Baba when interviewed by Pujya Sri Narasimha Swamiji, and Abdul Baba was also associated with many leelas that we read in Sri Sai Satcharitra in various chapters. It is inevitable for every Sai devotee to know who is this Abdul Baba and how was he pulled to Shirdi by Sainath. Abdul Baba was born in about 1871. He was a native of Nanded. When he was very young, he was given under the care of Fakir Amiruddin of Nanded. Sri Sai Maharaj appeared in the dream of that Fakir and gave him 2 mangoes, telling him to give the fruits to Abdul and send him to Shirdi. Devotees, please pay your full attention. This happened only in the dream. Lo, after the dream vision, when the Fakir Amiruddin of Nanded woke up from his dream, he saw 2 ripe mangoes materialized on his bedside. In fact, there was nobody else in that room and the door was still latched. He was astonished, being a great saint himself and knowing that Shirdi Sai Baba was a great Avuliya, that is, the perfect master of all the masters, he abided by the instructions. Hence, the next morning, Fakir Amiruddin told Abdul his dream vision, gave the mangoes and told him to take it as a gift to Sainath, advising him to go to the Supreme Lord Sai Baba at Shirdi immediately. Thus, at the age of 18, Abdul Baba came to Shirdi. Abdul Baba has never met Sainath Maharaj before. According to the philosophy of Guru-disciple relationship, abiding by the instructions of one's Guru is the greatest spiritual practice. Hence, Abdul Baba followed the directions of his Guru, Fakir Amiruddin, word to word and started from his place to Shirdi with those mangoes. As soon as Abdul reached Dwarakamai, Sri Sainath Maharaj screamed out of excitement thus, Mera Kavala Ala, which means, my crow has come. Those who were present at Dwarakamai could not understand Baba's euphuism, but speaking in this manner is a common practice among the Sufi saints, and these imageries are hard for others to comprehend. Birds are often used in Sufi poetry for the symbolic imagery. For instance, when a devotee arrives for darshan and if the saint relates him to a sparrow, then it means that the person might possess certain characteristics of a sparrow. This comparison is not only done with birds but also with animals. If the saints compare someone to a tiger, then few of the traits of that person might be like a tiger. Now let us ponder on what Sri Sainath Maharaj has said. The moment Abdul entered Dwarakamai, he was welcomed thus, Mere Kavala Ala. Abdul experienced a state of ecstasy as he glanced at Sri Sainath Maharaj. Sri Sai has not uttered this kind of enigmatic statement anywhere else. Abdul Baba dedicated himself at the service of Sri Sainath Maharaj. Why did Baba call Abdul as a crow? Crow is a bird which eats whatever is fed and leaves the place clean and is often connected to the worldly things of this material existence. Similarly, Abdul Baba was summoned by Baba to take care of the worldly aspects of his daily life in Shirdi. He was asked to keep the 5 lamps around the masjid constantly filled with oil and look after a lamp in the Lendi garden, which was protected by pieces of metal sheet and kept permanently lit. Abdul swept the masjid, the chawadi, and even the streets by removing night soil or excrement. He fetched water and washed Sainath's kafni in the stream at the edge of the village. He always kept the environment clean for Baba. Sufi philosophy quotes, Safi is a trait of Sufism, which means the Muslim who is clean can only fall under Sufism. Of course, this does not mean the external cleanliness but emphasizes on having purity of heart. So, the hygiene of Shirdi and the personal chores of Sainath were taken care by Abdul Baba. Thus, Sri Sainath Maharaj addressed Abdul Baba as Crow. Abdul Baba performed these tasks with great love and sincerity. His service was par excellence, and Sainath also had a very high regard for Abdul and relied upon him. Sainath also took responsibility for Abdul's spiritual development. Abdul Baba has penned down in a notebook few enthralling details which explicates the unique and long association he had with Sri Sainath Maharaj. This manuscript is indeed a rare treasure to all the Sai devotees. This notebook stands preeminent of all the other literatures as this has many philosophical truths elucidated by Baba concerning Islamic theology and history, also expounds about Sufi schools and other related matters. Devotees, we shall listen to these astounding details in the coming episodes. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.